Welcome to Carpe Diem, a podcast about personal finance and everyday life. I'm Jamie Davidson.
And I'm Nicole Jackson from Financial Center First Credit Union. Thanks for spending your free time listening to us talk about how life and family affects us achieving our financial goals.
Yeah, today is a good day. This topic's a good one. We actually have an expert in with us today, Mackenzie Cotton. So welcome, Mackenzie. So today we're going to discuss scams. And that's why we have Mackenzie here. We joke around a lot about showing our age, but did you know that the odds of being a victim of fraud are high and increased as you get older?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm getting
Fun
older.
stuff.
So, I think I might be more of a victim of fraud. So we got the fact queen over here, Nicole.
Yes.
Nicole's dug up some facts for us today. So, Nicole, what'd you find out?
Well, to start off with, the most commonly reported category is imposter scams for last year, followed by online shopping scams.
I tell you, I've gotten emails recently just all the time. We'll talk a little bit more about this as we go through this with Mackenzie. But, like my AT&T account needs to be updated, and it's like, nothing wrong with my AT&T account. So I go up and look in where it came from. It's some rando address and has nothing to do with AT&T. So, Yeah, the scams are out there right now.
Oh, yeah.
In 2021, the total number of phishing and counterfeit pages increased 1.5 times more than 2020, with a total of 10.5 million. So obviously that's continuing to grow in 2022. And according to an article published February of 2022, so it's only a couple months old, by the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, consumers reported losing more than $5.8 billion to fraud in 2021. That's more than a 70% increase from 2020.
Well, COVID.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, between that and something else to keep in mind here is this is just what is reported as being lost. A lot of people think once something happens, it's like, okay, I'll try to recover it, or okay, that's just my loss. Report it, which once again, we'll get into later, but this is just things that happen reported, and typically people report large losses.
Right. And my final fact is, according to Experian, credit and debit card account information sells on the dark web for only $5 with your CVV number, and up to $110 if it comes with all of your personal banking information. So
I can personally attest to this one. In a previous life, I've actually found myself locating fraudulent BIN numbers. But yes, they definitely sell your information there.
This is Mackenzie, and Mackenzie Cotton, who's our AVP of Compliance.
Yay.
I sort of introduced her a little bit earlier in this segment, and I'm glad that you're here with us today to go over all this fun stuff. Not really fun, but
I think it's fun.
It's kind of...
It's not fun if it happens to you, but it's fun to know more about it,
right,
so it doesn't
happen to you. So we're always here to educate. And so, Mackenzie, you came up with 5 red flags to look out for?
This podcast is brought to you by eHarmony, the dating app to find someone you can be yourself with. Why doesn't eHarmony allow copy and paste in first messages? Because you are unique, and your conversations should reflect that. eHarmony wants you to find someone who will get you. How are you going to know who gets you if people send you the same generic conversation starters they message everyone else? Conversations that actually help you get to know each other. Imagine that. Get who gets you on eHarmony. Sign up today.
I did. There are some different types of scams that can happen. There's more common ones than others, such as the shopping scam. Another big one that we see going on right now is a romance scam. I just met you on the internet, and I want to meet up. We're having a great conversation. It seems like you're a perfect person, but there's always an excuse. There's a reason you can't meet up. You have X amount of things that need to be done before we can, or you live in, let's say, Nigeria, and you need money to come over here to meet me.
why is it always Nigeria?
So, okay, I actually know a little history of this, just a little bit. The Nigerian prince dates back pre-electronic mail. People used to actually receive letters in the mail from someone claiming to be the Nigerian prince and send them money. I'm not even kidding, guys. This is predated back to emails.
That's crazy.
Right.
So, I actually just found that out a couple weeks ago during one of my webinars. So, going with romance scams and me making a comment like, oh, you seem like the perfect person. Mm-hmm. If something, first red flag is something sounds too good to be true, It might be.
It probably is,
Yeah.
right?
Probably
It probably is. Yeah, the chance that you've got a Nigerian prince contacting you, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or if someone claims to be some type of pope, I mean, come on, guys. One of your first red flags should be, okay, does it sound realistic? If it doesn't, it might not be. Another common one with this has kind of become more known, so a little bit more people are aware, is under too good to be true. If someone is saying, okay, if you give me X amount of money, you're going to get, 3 times that in returns. There's a low risk on this investment, blah, blah, blah. Guys, that's a sign of a Ponzi scheme. We don't do those.
Ponzi schemes, pyramid schemes, good stuff, right?
So many fun things. That was also including my webinar, which was super interesting because I went back to the whole backstory of how Ponzi schemes came to be. And that's exactly what happened. People would just invest all this money to this guy and they would actually see the returns. But since they saw such high returns, they would turn around and reinvest all of their returns. And then come to find out, they wouldn't get any of it back. It was a bunch of fraudulent scams, all this, that, the other. So yes, be aware of that too. If someone's like, hey, if you give me a lot of money and I'm going to go do this and you're going to get 3 times back, please don't.
And if it sounds too good to be true, guess what?
It probably is.
Yes.
Yes.
Very, very accurate. Going back to pressure to send money. So, for instance, if I meet someone online and they're like, hey, send me money now. And you're just like, and let's say that you think this person is real. You, for some reason, have a valid reason for thinking this person really exists. And they get really mad if you're like, okay, you know what? I can't send the money right now. I need to wait till next paycheck. Guys, that's another red flag. If someone is pushing you, I need this money. I need it right now.
Yeah. I think it's funny because
we're not J.G. Wentworth, guys.
Yeah. So yeah, right. I think about that because I won't give money to people like family members when they ask. So the idea that somebody online is going to ask me for money is just kind of funny, but really it happens to so many people. Yeah. And nowadays, when you do, like you said, wiring, and you've got the apps out now, the Venmo and everything like that you can use, it just gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And big deep breath on that one.
Oh, yes. Big deep breath on that one. Anyway, so yes, if someone is pressuring you to send money and or for instance, if someone contacts you and is like, hey, I need this X amount of money to be able to fix your car or something of that nature. Or let's say another big popular one that has recently happened is for business or employment scams. If someone, contacts you, tells you about this great opportunity, flexible schedule, you can work from home, et cetera, but they try to make you, and this is going to lead into red flag number 3, they try to make you pay for all the equipment up front before you start.
Right.
Then, guys, that's another red flag.
It's a red flag.
That's another red flag.
So many red flags.
If anything that requires you to send money up front, whether it is to receive, a certain prize. If you get a prize, it's a prize. You shouldn't have to pay for it. You shouldn't have to pay for shipping, delivery, anything like that. It's a prize.
Yeah, the big one is they send you the check and tell you to deposit it, and then send them the money back, and they'll send you the rest of the money.
Yes.
You see that one happen a lot at the credit union. I've seen.
Oh yeah.
It's not a lot, but I've seen it happen. Attempted to happen.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, those can be so tricky. And then a 4th red flag to kind of keep in mind is if someone is asking for your personal information, guys, please don't give people your social. Please don't give people your account number, your credit card number.
Because you shouldn't be giving anybody that information.
Correct.
Ever, right? I mean.
Now, I want to clarify on this a little bit, though, because I had a member last week that was upset because they had contacted us and was talking about their account, and we wanted them to verify the account. Well, why are they asking me this information? Well, because you're calling us about your account.
Yeah,
right.
So remember, if people are calling you that you don't know, never give them their information. But if you call your bank or your credit union and you say, hey, I want to talk about my account, you're going to have to give them a little bit of that information, right, Mackenzie?
Yes, to an extent. You brought up a great point, though. If someone contacts you asking you for this information, please don't give it to them. if you contact your financial institution, they're asking for things such as the last four of your card number, your date of birth, when was your last deposit, standard information like that. They're just trying to make sure you are who you are so that someone doesn't call in trying to pretend to be you.
Right.
And they're just trying to protect you a little bit. So just kind of be wary of that. Another great way for people to try and do these imposter scams is through phishing, vishing, and smishing.
Tell us what those are.
So phishing in its most purest form is when people, they try to send you an email and they try to get you to, provide information, click on a link, and input any personal information they can possibly get out of you. And that tends to get a lot of people. Vishing is the same thing, but it's a phone call, is a voice, if you want to think of it that way. And then smishing is text message, because SMS, smishing, that's the clever way of putting all those things together. But yes, they'll use things like that, try to send you links or try to get you, if you ever heard of the scam going around, if you get a random phone call and they try to get you to say yes or give your name or try to record your voice, be wary of that.
Right. I think one of the things I would recommend, most of us nowadays have cell phones and we see the phone numbers coming in. If you don't know the phone number, don't answer it. If it's somebody that's calling you that is legitimate, they're probably going to leave you a legitimate message.
Right.
Yes. And if the text comes in that you don't understand who that's from or what that's from, just delete it.
Delete it. Don't click on it, guys.
Please don't click on it. And, I think I sort of said earlier about the AT&T one. Usually there's something wrong with your account and they want you to give them your account information. So whoever it's from, they're not going to contact you that way. And if they are, it's going to be very official. And you click on who it came from. It's going to show you if it came from that company. So be very, diligent on those sorts of things and what you click on.
Right. Yeah. And you actually brought up a good point. I was also going to make is if you suspect anything. And, let's say that this is the only red flag you have and you're like, okay, I'm not really sure who this is from. They're claiming to be from here. Guys, look up the actual company information and you can contact them that way. You can, if it's a financial institution, go to a branch and talk to someone. I promise it's not that difficult.
You can always hang up and call back.
Absolutely. And that is one key thing too, either internally or externally. If you work somewhere and someone's claiming to be someone, or if you're on the outside and someone's calling you claiming to be someone, hang up on them. And if you know that person, call that person. Don't rely on that number.
Right.
And I mean, you can give us a password or require a password to be used on your account whenever you call in, and that will help kind of protect it and let you know, like, hey, this is really me, whenever we're doing verification and asking you, that type of personal information.
Yeah, investigate, validate, and verify, right?
There you go. Hey, check you out.
Yeah, I like
You're
that.
an expert too.
I guess. Yeah. Sometimes more so than others. It's they happen to all of us, and I think, like you said, you sort of started at the very beginning and said, if it's too good to be true, check it out. And it's the same with anything else. I know one of the big ones I've heard of before is where the IRS is calling you, leaving you a message if you don't call them back.
Yes. That's a huge one right now, especially with everything that's been going on with the stimulus checks, child tax credits, all of that type of government agency is going on. We as a financial institution, not only here, but worldwide, many of us have seen, like, okay, someone's claiming to claim this payment or this benefit, but it's not really this person. And it's kind of scary, actually, because those are a little harder to identify. If you have someone who is claiming to be the IRS, I mean, it's tax time right now, so be extra weary of that. And then once again, validate it. Like, okay, supposedly that's the IRS. Let me go back and see is it really the IRS? Let me get on the IRS website. Because here's the thing, guys. On top of that, at the end of the day, IRS has all your information.
They're not going to ask. They're not going to call and leave you a message and ask you.
Right. That's a great point. And that kind of leads me to my last red flag I have here. And if it feels off, if it feels wrong, and you get some kind of tingly feeling whenever you talk to someone, and it's like, I don't know, that hesitation, please don't do it. Go back, double check it, make sure it's actually valid. And then that might prompt another one of the red flags, such as, okay, if you start hesitating, you start questioning it, and they start to get irritated because you're not doing what they're asking you. goes back to the previous red flag of pressuring you to do things. Don't trust
do
that.
it now, quickly now.
Yes.
The faster you get it done, the more you're going to get from it. So always slow down, trust your gut. I've seen a lot of different ones, obviously, in the industry, and it's just they come at you all different ways. And like you said earlier, the older Nicole, you were saying, the older you get, right?
Right.
Are you getting old, Nicole?
Not as old as you, but yeah.
Have you been getting more the older you get? No, but I think to my mom, this happened about a month ago. She had been contacted by a hospital.
Yeah.
And that she owed over $500,000. And she's freaking out. And I said, have you been to that hospital? Well, no. Mom, you can't owe somebody if you've never been to that hospital. They're trying to get your information. And the thing with my mother is they just got cell phones recently. So I'm trying to teach her, like, because something comes through on text or somebody calls you doesn't mean they, that
you
they're legit, right? So it's kind of scary that they're, that people are in that situation where they have to, validate those things. And it creates a lot of stress. What should our listeners do if they suspect one of these things that have happened to them?
That is a great question. Well, the first thing you should do...
I always come up with great questions, by the way. Thank you for pointing that out.
You are very welcome. I've noticed that about you. I've noticed it on the previous podcast. You're very great at that. So the first thing you should do is if you catch it beforehand, you're not a victim, but you suspect it, start paying extra attention to the little things. Pay attention to your accounts, right? If you check it only at the statement, whenever you receive the statement, maybe you should start hopping online, checking it a little bit more often, because the quicker you notify us, if something goes wrong, the better it's going to be for you.
Right.
Because depending on how long you wait, you could potentially be held liable for some of the unauthorized transactions. And a lot of people don't know that. So always be aware of, your transactions. So start paying extra attention to those. Something else is notify your financial institution. Let them know, hey, this has been attempted on me, just so you are aware. And then that's where you can kind of look into any kind of fraud protection or identity protection that your financial institution offers, like we offer here. Just to put extra security on it, I would definitely look at changing passwords or your login credentials, just to, like I said.
So password shouldn't be password 123 or 3.
I highly do not recommend that.
Don't recommend that one.
Now, if you fall victim to one of these, the bottom line here is report it. Just let everyone know, your financial institution, your credit cards, debit cards, credit bureau, the police, file police reports to make sure they have a record of it. And then that will also help with affidavits that you have with us or a financial institution to where whenever they go to try and claim it back. And then the Federal Trade Commission, FTC. Yes. Okay. That is where you need to notify everyone as much as possible to make sure people know that, hey, if you get something, like it's like whenever you get hacked in Facebook, right? And you send out that post, it's like, hey guys, I got hacked. It's not me. Yes, exactly. That's kind of what you do here. Like, hey guys, someone scammed me. Like, don't be ashamed of it. It happens so much, and that's what we're trying to prevent.
Right.
But we also want you to know what happens if you become a victim. It is super tricky. It's okay.
And they're out there to trick you. They're always like 3 steps ahead of us, right?
They are, and they're getting smarter every day, and it's a little terrifying.
I just think of Catch Me If You Can. If you haven't watched Catch Me If You Can, just watch it. Yeah, that's a great one. That one or The Wolf of Wall Street. But that's it.
Classic.
That's art in action, right?
Pretty much, yeah. So, that's the best advice I can give to someone. Don't be ashamed.
Right.
I no longer have shame. That's something I've learned as I've gotten older. If something happens, I'm like, okay, this has happened.
Wait, I want to back up, Mackenzie, because you made a comment about taking it to the FTC, and that just seems... Is it FTC?
Yes, it's the Federal Trade Commission, and it is federal. So
that just seems like
extreme,
way too big for me. Like, I'm just this person.
So there's
a checking account.
There's a couple of reasons we want to do this, right? So first of all, so that we can keep a record of everything, such as providing the lovely statistics you talked about
earlier. Records are important, right?
They're super important because that also helps other organizations, and this is reason number 2, such as like the FBI, if there's some kind of serial scammer out there that's, obtaining a lot of money, and let's say they're crossing state lines, which includes FBI involvement from the financial crimes, then they need those numbers. They need to see where these things are happening so that they can also do what they can to catch the person.
So it helps build the case.
Exactly. I mean, that's essentially what it is. And I mean, from every perspective, that's what that's there for. So yeah, even on a federal level, guys.
Okay, so we're reporting it to the police, our credit
Yes.
union, and the FTC.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. And whatever you do, guys, whether you suspect it or it actually has happened, change your login information. And it's also very good practice. I'm throwing this in here because I have to. It's very good practice to regularly change your login information, right? I mean, if you work somewhere, 9 times out of 10, they're going to say change it every 90
I need to
days.
change my login credentials, and I shouldn't have the same password on every one of my accounts?
You should not have your same password anywhere.
Oh,
Please.
God,
Please.
I'm in trouble.
Don't keep. And I know I'm repeating myself here. I know many of you have probably heard this a million times. Don't record them. Don't keep them on a spreadsheet on your desktop.
What about your phone?
Guys, okay, so here's the thing. There's this really cool thing called a password manager that you can have. You can Google up. Wow.
I like that. Google up, gobble up, Google up.
Goggle up. No, you can Google different types of password managers that can actually keep your passwords, keep track of them, and better maintain them and keep them secure.
What about the biometric thing?
What about
Like,
it?
is
it secure?
How safe is that? Because
So with biometric screening, yes, it is definitely more secure than your basic PIN or password, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing with biometric screening is depending on your phone and what settings you have, someone can get in your phone and assign themselves a biometric login. And they will then record, because you know how if you go in and you set up your biometric screening for, like, let's say a fingerprint, and it asks, do you want to scan another fingerprint? Someone else can come along and scan their own fingerprint. They're able to get in your phone. And a lot of times phones will have alternative ways to log into it rather than biometric screening. So it's just something to kind of be wary of, and why you don't necessarily want to save all of your information on your phone. I get it. It's very convenient. Just be cautious of that. If someone takes your phone, or if you lose your phone and you know you have personal information on there, your account information, like let's say you have your login information saved for your online banking,
Right.
Guys, you need contact your financial institution, let them know what's going on. You lost your phone. They're probably going to have access to your login credentials and your online banking, and they will 9 times out of 10 be able to help you out with that and make sure everything stays secure.
Very good.
So
yeah.
that was a lot of information.
You're saying all these things, and I'm just thinking evering that I'm doing
Guilty?
wrong,
Yeah.
that I need to go back after this. I've got a lot to do after.
Don't look at my phone,
after this
Mackenzie.
Well, the beauty of it is we're not the only ones, right?
Right.
I mean, you're not the only one that does this, and it takes someone to really bring to light what could happen.
And you know, that's actually perfect, because that's a lot, Mackenzie, and thank you for bringing it to life. I think we could probably do this for a couple hours if we wanted to today.
Oh, I definitely could.
Yeah. Definitely. So maybe we'll do a part 1 and part 2 one day, right? That was, like you said, a ton of information. So let's review what we covered, because that was a lot. So came up with 5 common red flags.
She had
What are those,
5
Nicole?
common red flags. If it seems too good to be true, guess what? It is.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. If you're being pressured to send or wire money to fix something, yeah, don't do that either.
Nope.
Please don't.
If you're being asked to send money up front in order to get something back later, yeah, don't do that either.
Nope.
And if someone contacts you and asks for your personal information, if they're reaching out to you,
Don't give
don't
it.
give
I
it to
will
them.
give my personal information to my mother. If somebody calls me, I mean, come on, guys. If it's not your spouse,
I don't.
don't.
Right.
Oh, see, you include a spouse. I don't trust my husband. I'm just kidding.
The last red flag that she mentioned was if the situation feels off, trust your gut. Your gut is normally right with that.
Yes.
Always trust your gut. And you know what? If you think you've been attacked or scammed, what should you do?
You should make sure you keep track of everything. Monitor your accounts, your online banking. Always check your statements. Make sure no unauthorized transactions have occurred. Increase your security measures on everything you have, anything that you could have access to. And that includes changing your passwords, your security questions, updating type of thing. And if you just so happen to become a victim, remember it happens to way more people than you think. Remember the numbers we reported earlier, and those are just reported numbers. And with reporting being my key word right now, if you happen to be a victim, report it. Just report it to the police, report it to everyone, report it to the Federal Trade Commission. Let's make sure we catch bad guys.
Yes.
Right.
Tell. See something, tell something.
Is that right?
Yes.
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 Yes. I think don't be embarrassed. Jump on it as soon as possible.
Yes.
And report it where it needs to be reported. A lot of times you sort of take that pause, and as that happens, more is happening. So yeah, that's great information, Mackenzie. I really, you guys laughing at me.
Thanks.
You guys, you don't see me, but I mean, I think I'm funny. They're laughing at me. Like, I'm a clown funny. What am I, a clown sitting here? So no, thanks, Mackenzie. In all honesty, this is so much information, and we're joking about doing more, but there are so many more of these we could do.
There's so many sections too. I mean, another side you have to think about it, guys. We only covered scams today. That's not including, and this is even just a portion of something that's called non-occupational fraud.
This is the tip of the pyramid scheme, right?
We know you
Really?
You can laugh at that,
Really?
Mackenzie. That was a good one. It's the tip of the pyramid scheme. So
Okay,
I
I'll
want
give
to
you a
thank you. Thank you so much for coming out today. We appreciate all of the information and your expertise, and hopefully we'll see you again. Nicole, thank you today for everything you've done.
Woo-hoo.
Carpe Dime is presented by Financial Center First Credit Union. It's produced by me, Jamie Davidson.
And me, Nicole Jackson. Financial Center is a 7-time national award winner in the category of adult financial literacy, and our goal is to, what, Jamie?
Help improve your financial life. To learn more, visit fcfcu.com.
Like what you hear, subscribe to us on Google, iTunes, SoundCloud, the All Indiana Podcast Network, and Spotify.
And once again,
Thank you, Mackenzie.
We appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. Stay safe.